P&O Cruises Australia has had an over 80-year legacy in the Australian travel market, but all of that is coming to a close. Like many corporations, the effects of COVID have led companies to re-evaluate their brand and restructure. Hi there, my sun seekers of the high seas. I hope you are doing magnificently. Thank you for checking out RedLightGreenLight Reviews. It's Ryan here again with our first ever cruise line review. And this time, we're all aboard the P&O Explorer. As always, with my stays, these are incognito so as to make sure the experience is as authentic as possible. Back in the 80s and the 90s, having a locally based cruise company focus on Australia, New Zealand, and the South Pacific made perfect sense. So now it seems that this four-star cruising line is exiting the Australian market as it gets absorbed into its parent company, Carnival Cruises. This is because travel habits and expectations have changed significantly. So look out for some great deals. When booking directly through the cruise operator, the pre-cruise experience is definitely crucial. It really sets the tone and makes you decide if you want to cruise with them again. I booked on a sail fare, paid in installments, and 1 month later, the price dropped by about $50 per person. Now, this wasn't a huge difference, but when I asked if they'd match the price, they said no way. Registering and boarding was a breeze, hardly any passengers at the time, luggage was dropped off, and we were on our merry way. The entry brings you onto level 5, the ground floor of the 4-story tall atrium. Pretty grand. The cruise was in the first week of December, so not surprisingly, Christmas decorations were already up. Though, pride decorations were limited to a few buntings. After a couple of hours, guests started lining up to book shows at the box office, but I skipped that, which was a bit of a mistake as I missed out on a couple of shows. The ship boasts 8 restaurants, 4 swimming pools, 5 hot tubs and spas, 7 lounges and bars, and 2 children's entertainment centers. Being on the 8th deck as well is a good call if you get seasick. The cabin I booked was a twin ocean view cabin. It was a decent sized room with plenty of space between the single beds. A nice touch was an entry mirror and a wall-mounted shelf for all of the little items in your pocket at the end of each day. One wall where all the beds leaned up against was nearly all mirrored, which certainly helped give a sense of space. There was a corner minibar, and above it a TV, and also across from that a dresser or desk. And there were delightfully 2 large 1.5 litre bottles of water waiting. Definitely a bonus. In terms of the decor, there are definitely a lot of elements from the atrium to the cabins and the corridors in between where you see little elements like light switches, thermostats, and other decorative elements that really dates it. While it's still pleasant and clean and tidy, it still looks a little bit like a relic from the 1990s. certainly gives you a feel more of a 4-star rather than a 5-star experience. As with most cruise ship cabins, their en-suites are usually quite tiny, not much bigger than that in an airplane, but definitely not the smallest I've ever encountered. There's a towel hook, shaving power outlet, a retractable clothesline, and your usual large format toiletries. A couple of wall shelves were a nice touch for your toiletry bags. You've got your face, hand, and body towels, plus also a couple of pool towels. But if you know me, one thing that I grossly detest is a shower curtain. Get that away from me. Before you pack for any cruise, do check what you can and can't bring on board. Bags are screened for alcohol, and on this cruise, I was allowed to bring non-alcoholic drinks, but power boards were a no-go. In this day and age of digital devices, the ship provides USB Type-A and both Australian and American power outlets handy for all of your devices. The Lido Deck 12 has two pools, four hot tubs, and a large movie screen at one end. It's a classic cruise ship design, nothing too fancy. The pools and hot tubs are a little on the smaller side, which I think is due to ship engineering back in the 1990s, so smaller pools means less water sloshing around when the ship rocks. The bars were open even before we set sail. Yay! And the buffet at the pantry on deck 14 was serving food. On this cruise, we headed to the New Zealand ice cream stand by the pool and got the basic drinks packages, which include soft drinks and coffees, but nothing alcoholic. The main buffet is the pantry. Now, buffet lovers, don't come at me. I have never actually been blown away by buffets on a ship, especially when you think of the mass production that it goes through when they're feeding thousands. Still, the food was okay, nothing spectacular. I got some fish bites, some paella, and that satiated my peckishness. And it's kind of good in between your cocktails. The main restaurant, the waterfront, had a fun Pride cruise touch. It served Prosecco Rosé by Kylie Minogue. However, I did notice the meals held back a bit on providing a complexity of flavors, and I guess it might be there to cater for the less adventurous palates. When it comes to the main meals, I always prefer the sit-down dining options, and even for a four-star cruise, the table service over several courses was a nice, relaxing experience. There are two other included restaurants. Angelo's is a bright and spacious trattoria with some dramatic elements like black and white images of Italy and Hollywood stars, a giant peppermill, and a stiletto-shaped wine holder. Now, adjacent to this is Dragon Lady, which offered Asian fusion cuisine within a sultry and dark toned screen dining room. The food was delicious, but yet again, a little bit lacking that complexity in flavor. Now, whenever one is provided, a visit to the gym is a must, and that is to check it out. Is a workout on the top of the must-do list on a cruise? Certainly not. Still, it was well equipped with a good mixture of cardio machines, free weights, pin-loaded machines, and there was even a group exercise space, though it was being used for pre-cruise raffles and offers at the time that I visited. Other activities include a rock climbing wall, a zip line, 2 water slides, and a kids' water park. This cruise was at the start of Melbourne's summer in early December, and anyone who knows Melbourne's weather, chances are it's not gonna be that warm. As such, while this cruise was meant to have a party vibe atmosphere, a lot of the water activities were underused, only having a poolside DJ for a couple of hours each afternoon, with everyone pretty much rugged up. It would have been a nice touch if there had been a pool party that went from lunchtime till the late evening even on one of those days. The solarium and bar on deck 14, just above the gym, had several spa pools, some so small they were practically bathtubs, fitting about 2 people. The layout could definitely use a refresh, but it's still a cozy place to chill. Also of note is to take into account Melbourne's weather. For a full day, the main pool and spa pools remain empty, and while the sound of 2 water slides sounds fun, it's a little bit different when you get a ship and it's moving and you get this cold Arctic breeze. Also, tucked away beside it was the kids' water park, and all of these are at a different end of the ship to where the swimming pools are. Definitely not a great design, as there wasn't even a parent space for looking after the kids while they were in the water park. Around the ship are several other venues and sitting areas. There's even a barista coffee joint called Charlie's Bar on the lobby. It was popular with us caffeine-addicted Melbourne cruisers. This ship has 15 decks, but most activities happen around the main central atrium, and most of the decks have a mixture of cabins and activity spaces, as compared to some of the newer ships which might keep them separate. Despite my 3-night stay, I didn't make it to all of the venues and restaurants. The main theatre is the Black Circus. This held several shows such as sit-down comedy with Kirsty Wibbeck and the mesmerizing Ruben K from the UK.
To a woman, but this is the gayest thing I have ever done. Oh my gosh, listen to me banging on and on. How rude.
She said I'm gonna be sick. I'm so sorry. I raise my arms to reach you home to give you shelter from the wild winds of the sea.
On the other end is the marquee. Across from it is the Explorer Hotel, a live music venue with traditional cocktails, and this was great for a drink while waiting for a show. If you prefer the enjoyment of flashing lights in a more solitary manner without loud music, there's the small casino and also a kids arcade on board. Post-COVID, P&O Australia jumped right back into cruising with a series of Pride cruises, starting with the Pacific Explorer. It was a clever way to tap into the pink dollar market. It was a fun, affordable option as well for those curious about what their ships might have offered compared to other companies, like Vakaya and Atlantis. Those have been running successful LGBT cruises worldwide since 1991. When it comes to putting on a party, the P&O Australia Cruise Line was great at turning it on. They did a good job with turning the atrium lobby into a dance floor, perfect with the stairs for creating a tiered dance floor, and the panoramic lifts became go-go dancing pods. So, what's my final verdict? I'll give the Pacific Explorer a green light for its remaining 5 months with Carnival P&O. It's a fun cruise, enough to keep you entertaining, and especially if you snag a good deal. My tip, keep your eyes peeled on prices because they often fluctuate. That said, there's room for improvement always, and I hope that with the absorption of P&O into its parent company, Carnival will rethink scheduling more cruises departing Melbourne between mid-January and maybe mid-March when the weather's warmer, and they have a little bit of work to do with their two sister ships. As for the fate of the Pacific Explorer post-March 2025, I hope that it gets an update and a refit. The more dated 80s elements need to be removed, and perhaps redesigning that Lido deck to be a little bit more fun and trendy and youth-oriented, and really trying to gastronomize that food for a newer, more adventurous market. I hope you have enjoyed this review. This is another red light, green light review. Subscribe below so you don't miss any updates. Comment below. I want to know what your experience was if you sailed on that Pride cruise or if you sailed on P&O, and what your thoughts are of this review. Who knows, your comment might even make it into our next video. And if you want a shout out, tell us which hotel you want us to review next. Happy travels, fellow adventurers, and remember to tread lightly, especially when you're visiting a different country.